Hello, my free and powerful friends. Happy October 1, day one of Sober October, and I'm here to help you make it different this time. Sober October 2024 is going to create lasting ripple effects. So I just want to start off by applauding you for making this decision, being here ready to experiment with the sober side of life and see what this whole thing is about. If you've been contemplating sobriety for a while, or just even thinking about, needing to cut back, take a break, dry out for a month here or there, you probably have followed like sober accounts. Maybe you've done some research. Maybe you've, done the scary Google of, do I have a drinking problem? And that's really what I want to address throughout the month of October. Almost every day, I'm going to be coming on here as a part of the Sober October live stream series under Magnify Method, Magnify Progressive Wellness. I'm Maggie Jensen. I'm the creator of the Magnify Method. I shared a little bit of my sober journey, sober story, life story with my stream yesterday, where it's Sober October Getting Started. So if you haven't looked at that and you are here trying to get a feel for things, trying to get your mind right for Sober October, check out that stream from yesterday, September 30th. And then buckle up, get ready for a really amazing learning experience because I tried all of the traditional things. I followed all of the sober influencers. I read all of the quit literature. And it just didn't resonate with me. I didn't want to spend my life avoiding alcohol and having to identify as sober. I saw what that did for my mom. She was an alcoholic who followed the 12 steps and went to AA meetings religiously. And it was like she was in one of two areas. Either she was drinking heavily, dangerously, in a very frightening way, or she was sober saying, I'm sober today, but God damn it, all I want is a drink. And like, when I started struggling with alcohol, those two images, those two perspectives of sobriety or trying sobriety really kind of jaded me towards like, sobriety couldn't possibly be fun. That's not a ghost. That's my dog. Just opened up the door behind me. It scared me a little bit. But, I didn't want that to be the only option A or option B. I wanted to live a life where alcohol was the last thing that I thought about, where I had control if I wanted to drink it, but my mind was drawn to other themes, other goals, other things in life where I was getting better results in my life and not just curating a routine around drinking and recovering, and feeling like shit the whole time. So I'm going to share pieces of my story again throughout October. I invite conversation, questions, strategy need. Like, what do you need help with? I'm a coach and I want this to feel like a mini hot seat coaching moment. So feel free to chat. Let me know. I'm keeping my eye on the chat. But today I wanted to talk about some of the false narratives around sobriety. First off, most of us have probably at least looked at AA or the 12 steps, and we're very familiar even through society with like the first step being admit your powerlessness and identify as an addict. That's why they say, hi, I'm Maggie and I'm an alcoholic whenever they start to talk at AA meetings. Well, what does this do? This builds an identity based around alcohol. This builds a forever tie, a chain that links you to alcohol. And what's funny is, as a kid, I was going to AA with my mom, and I would see people that would start their share off with that sentence, hi, I'm Fred and I'm an alcoholic. And then they'll say they haven't drank in 5 years. So they're still identifying as an alcoholic. And then on top of that, the stories that they would share were like how they were struggling to make it through the day without alcohol, but celebrating that, yay, by the end of the day, they were fine. And I was like, that's just not what I want for my life. And I see this now from where I sit as like this perpetuating self-fulfilling prophecy. You continue to identify as your coping mechanism alcohol. You continue to identify as an addict. Thus, your thoughts are always drawn back. It could be 5 years, 10 years, 20 years. But because you identify as somebody who has a problem, who is powerless to alcohol, you are constantly bringing it to your conscious awareness. You're constantly thinking, oh, that person's not an alcoholic. They can drink however they want. Oh, I'm an alcoholic, so I can't go to this activity. Oh, I have an alcohol problem, so I can't spend my time with these people. And it's like, if you just took away this belief that you had a problem with alcohol and just kind of let that rest and focused on the life aspects that would make it so beautiful that you don't have to drink, then all of a sudden your problem, quote unquote, with alcohol fades into the darkness and diminishes. I've spent innumerable hours studying the science of success and the laws of achievement, and what all of our great leaders have said throughout history, time and time again, no matter their background or how much they disagreed with one another on political views, ethical views, moral views, religious views, any of these things, all of them recounted that we become what we think about all day long. We become what we think about all day long. And this helped me see that I was struggling with alcohol because I was constantly thinking about myself in relation to alcohol, drinking or not drinking. So even in those sober months, the dry Julys, the dry Januaries, the sober Octobers, the ones that didn't work for me were ones where I was sitting around thinking about drinking, thinking about not drinking. Instead, I needed to be using that time to create healthy routines. I needed to be using that time to read about the mind and not just quit literature about going sober and how they, struggled, but then this is how they came out on top of it. That's going to continually drive your mind to think about alcohol, right? So what you have to do is learn to spend that time doing something that your drinking self wouldn't do. This sober October is your challenge to begin your identity transformation. Your current identity and the reason why you have trouble moderating or even going completely sober is because your identity is meshed with alcohol. So what kind of identity is going to propel you out of that to where you're just somebody who doesn't see it as worthwhile, as worth your money, worth your time, worth the energy, worth the stress that it causes? We want to shift your self-image, your perspective, and your identity. And that means that you're going to need to use your time wisely throughout October. Instead of just letting the days pass and counting down to the first of the month when you can drink again, take your mind off of alcohol and put it on the image you wish to create. This is why the title of day one live stream is "Time Heals All is a Lie." That is a fallacy. It's what you do with that time. If you're spending your sober October just removing alcohol, but not putting anything intentionally positive in its place, then you will wind up still struggling with alcohol come November 1st. There will be no lasting ripple effect. But if you spend this time saying, what are the things that I've always wanted to do, but alcohol took the front burner? These hobbies, these interests, these goals all took the back burner. Now is the time to double down on those and say, well, I'm going to have more free time. I'm definitely going to have more energy. I'm going to have less stress, less anxiety. We're going to talk about that one of the live streams about how alcohol actually induces added stress and really knocks our hormones out of balance so that we just can't feel good no matter what we're doing. We just see the dread and the fatigue in it. So now that that's going to be pushed to the wayside, you're going to have extra energy. You're going to have extra focus, mental clarity, brain fog will clear up. You're going to have better sleep. You're going to feel like, hey, what could I do with this extra 30 minutes of time? Or, hey, now that it's Friday night and I'm not going to go to the bar, I'm not going to go out to the drinking event, I'm not going to go to Saturday brunch, what could I do to fill that time? And so I encourage you to not just lay in bed, not just Netflix and chill. Don't just sit around, and then don't also don't just immerse yourself in quit lit, because that's going to also get your mind streaming in the avenues of alcohol. Do the things that are going to trump that alcohol identity. For me, the real success did come stemming from a dry January. It's dry January 2020. I had one drinking event. From that, I broke my sobriety, but that gave me confidence and some wherewithal of seeing, like, why did I have that drink? Oh, I was reading Happier Hour by Bex Weller. I was reading This Naked Mind by Annie Grace. I was reading all of these things about alcohol. So I was still relating to alcohol. But then the confidence that I got, and like that awareness that maybe I didn't do it right in dry January, gave me basically the launching point, the catapult to carry on my behavior and my learning experience into February. And then March is really where I solidified it. I started to, it was quarantine. So I started to use our garage gym every morning for workouts. One of my big goals was to be healthy and to sculpt my body and do bodybuilding. And I was never able to do that because alcohol took the priority list. And so I would skip my workouts due to my hangover. I wasn't really following a program. I was just kind of doing what I could get myself to do. I was just kind of doing it half-assed. I was pussyfooting a lot with my workouts. Whereas when I took alcohol off the table, I was like, okay, I'm going to progressively overload. I'm going to learn about nutrition. I'm going to learn about how to structure my program, how to create hypertrophy in my muscles. Like, I went all in on nerding out about exercise science, nutrition science, mindset, habit science, behavior change. That's also when I started to finally believe in my goal of launching a business. So I got my programs for personal training, nutrition coaching, behavior change specialties. So I started to take action on these goals that had been really, really loud in the back of my mind, but I'd always said, no, I can't do that because that's too expensive. And look at my budget on alcohol, and look how much time I spend being a crazy party girl. And like, I just don't have time for those things. And it was actually taking the focus off of that identity, party girl Maggie, and putting it on healthy girl Maggie, that helped me use my time differently. And before I knew it, it was maybe a week or two of doing those healthy things, healthy routine, that I watched my husband drink his nightcap, and I thought, ick, that's going to get in the way of my goals. And that's how I maintain healthy moderation now. It's not that I'm saying no out of pain or discomfort, or no, I can't drink because I'm being lame tonight. It's like, no, that really doesn't sound good because it's not aligned with my goals. I have a energized workout tomorrow. I want to feel good for my work projects. I want to show up to the live stream and have energy and optimism and clarity and zero mental fog. Like, once you experience the good in life, you don't compromise and sacrifice as often. I do have a drink or two about every quarter. I consider myself very sober compared to what I used to be. I drink now without getting drunk. It's with control, with positive discernment. And that all stemmed from a prolonged alcohol vacation where I used my time wisely to create a new identity, not just a version of me that's still tied to alcohol, but not drinking. So I want to invite you to tune in every day, almost every day. I'll let you guys know if I'm going to skip maybe a Saturday or Sunday, because mental health away from work, we all need to recharge. I will let you know, but stay tuned for the daily streaming series for Sober October. I'm going to be dropping some resources like this Sober Curious Handbook. I'm going to check back in comments and make sure that this stuck. But I see that we have some live viewers right now. So I'm going to put that link there for anybody that's watching that wants to get this Sober Curious Handbook. There's workbooks. I'm going to use some of these pages for some of our live streams to talk about the thought auditing, habit reshaping, nutrition goals, exercise goals, routines throughout October. Remember, this is your place to learn to think differently in order to drink differently, not just let time pass and let this be another month where you start back where you were, maybe even worse come November 1st. I do not want that for you. Now, I will also say, even if that is the case, you go back to it, November 1st and you're YOLOing, you still gave your body 4 weeks of a break. You still gave your body a little recharge time to dry out. So whatever the case, there's no shame, no judgment here. It's a very pressure-free zone to create whatever kind of goals with sobriety or alcohol freedom that you want. I'm also going to just kind of outline that tomorrow, and kind of especially just this first week of Sober October, I'm going to really challenge you to create a solid goal in your mind. Create a goal around alcohol. Is your goal come November to be continuing your sober journey? Are you wanting to prolong this into a 60, 90-day alcohol vacation? Gosh, think about how good you're going to feel. Is your goal to reintroduce alcohol come November 1st, but do it in a healthy, moderate way? Is your goal to just cut back in October and make this soberish October? If so, what will be your strategy? What days will you allow yourself? Maybe get the calendar out and look at special occasions where you're going to allow yourself. But then make sure you tune in here, because I'm going to have streaming sessions where it's like, hey, if you're going to allow yourself to drink, this is the mindset you need to be in. This is the strategy that I employ with clients who are practicing moderation so that they can do it with success and control and ease. So create your goal, like get really specific, clear your mind, get clarity on what you want your goal with alcohol freedom to look like, whether that's successful moderation, cutting back, or going sober entirely, at least for maybe a prolonged season longer than 30 days. I would also say, in line with what I mentioned about my exercise goals, my routines, how I spent my time being really, really valuable for my experience, create a solid goal outside of sobriety. If that's health and wellness, if that's learning, taking a course, if that's getting an LLC for the side hustle that you've been thinking about, if that's getting a certification, if that's just being a more present mommy or daddy or spouse, whatever that goal outside of alcohol is, really get clear on that as well. Because the thing is, and I mentioned this earlier, but I didn't do the direct quote, Norman Vincent Peale, the doctor of positivity, Dr. Norman Vincent Peale, he said, the prescription to any problem is to take your mind off of the problem and put it on the image you wish to create. So what is that image you wish to create for yourself? Most of the time when I'm working with clients, that's where they draw blanks, because they've been so consumed with images in their mind, thoughts, obsessions with how they don't want to live anymore. So I beg of you to get very clear on how you do want to live. Create goals around that. Another quote drop. I'm just going to leave this one here. Robert Heinlein, he was an author. He said, in the absence of clearly defined goals, we become strangely loyal to daily trivia until ultimately we become enslaved by it. I know that drinking for me was a product of daily trivia, gossip, getting consumed by worry on the news and the radio and work life and all these things. When you have a goal, you are no longer a tumbleweed in the wind. You're no longer just letting time pass and staying the same. You're using time wisely. Time does not heal all. It's what you do with that time. So let's use our time, recreate ourselves, recreate our habits, our identity, our beliefs, our goals, our lifestyle. Our entire reality will be recreated. We will be in the same physical place, living in the same house, around the same people, but our entire experience will change just by shifting our perspectives, creating goals, creating healthy routines, all of that. All right, my loves, stay tuned for our live stream tomorrow. It's going to be at 9 a.m. Pacific, noon, so 30 minutes earlier than what it was today. And we're going to be talking about some really amazing things. I shared that book, so take a look at that link. But we're going to be talking tomorrow about the pros and cons of Sober October, and about how maybe it's not the best strategy to count the days of sobriety, but rather to count the aha moments, the learning lessons, the improvements, the progress. So Until tomorrow, remember, Magnify is here for you. Your Sober October is going to be grand. You're going to have so many learning lessons. You're going to become so strong, so independent, and free from alcohol. Lots of love. It's up to you. It all goes down in the mind. Remember, think different to drink different or never again. I'm here for you. Let me know if you need anything. Reach out on Instagram, DM at Magnify Maggie. Go to my website, magnifypw.com, for a bunch of extra free resources, meal prep guides, exercise guides, things of that nature. And let me know how I can help you. You can reach out via email, magnifymaggiej@magnifypw.com. I'm here for you. I'm rooting you on. I'm cheering for you. And I know you got this. Talk soon.